Hello everyone, welcome back to The Budget Sportsman. Today is going to be the start of a little bit of a mini video series here that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Now I'm sure you already know what it is based upon the thumbnail and the title, but let me introduce it. If you have been following along on YouTube and social media over the last couple of years, you've probably seen the popularity of saddle hunting. Now, saddle hunting has been around for a long time, but it seems like in the last year or two it has become super popular and it seems like everybody wants to get into saddle hunting. Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard of it, I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard of. I had absolutely zero interest whatsoever. But over the last year or two, as I've watched so many people say how amazing it is, how comfortable it is, and just how much they enjoy hunting out of a saddle, well, like most of you probably, my curiosity was intrigued. Now, I have not yet gone out and bought into the whole system, saddle, platform, and all of that. But my good friend Nate over at Average Jack Archery just got the brand new Tethrd Phantom. And so he's letting me try it out today, and I'm going to be doing some videoing with it. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to video my very first experience ever sitting in a saddle. But unfortunately, I sat in this last week and it was pouring snow when I sat in it and we weren't able to film. So today's really my second time, but this video is just going to be some sort of first impressions of this particular saddle and saddle hunting in general. And just a couple of little tips and tricks that I've learned as I've gotten started here in the first couple of sits. So let me put this on and we'll go ahead and get into the tree behind me. Now obviously the first thing is getting the saddle on. It's very simple to do. And what you want to do with this Tethrd Phantom here is just hold it out like this. It's kind of stiff, it holds its place. And just step through 1 foot at a time between the saddle itself and the Amsteel bridge. Next foot through. Now what you're going to notice is you've got this belt, and this is going to be your weight-bearing belt here. Bring it up and click it in nice and easy. Now I'm going to pull my jacket out. Now there's different opinions about where you wear this. For right now, so far, I'm most comfortable wearing mine right below my regular pants belts. Now the next thing you're going to do is reach down here between your legs and pull out these leg straps. There's going to be one for each side, and you want these hooks to go face down and put them right through these orange tabs. Same thing on the other side. And this one feels a little loose, so I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. There we go. And then I'm ready to go climb into the tree, so let's get started. All right, so when I first got into the saddle for the very first time, I noticed the same thing I'm noticing right now, is this bottom strap of the Phantom is running kind of right through my backside. And to be honest with you, it's not very comfortable. It's pinching my hips, and I wasn't really impressed. So what I did is I just pulled myself up and I pulled this saddle down quite a bit to where this bottom strap is below my backside and it's more on the bottom of my legs there. And immediately I feel way more comfortable. I feel like it's cupping my backside and pretty comfortable. Now, the next thing I did is I adjusted the comfort settings of the Phantom. Now, at initial impression, I thought, oh, I'm gonna want those right in the middle. But once I scooted this down, I still feel a lot of pressure on the bottom strap of this Phantom and not much on the top. So if I pull myself up again and I adjust these comfort settings up 1 notch toward the top, I'll do that on each side, and let myself back down. Now I'm starting to feel a much more even pressure across the whole saddle. I think I could still kind of pull this down a little bit more again for my particular tastes. And there, I'm definitely getting settled in. So one of the things to keep in mind when you're doing this is you're just going to have to figure out what works for you. For me, I really like this pulled down a lot further to where it kind of cups my backside and it's supporting all the way around. Especially with these comfort settings, that's working really nice. Now the next thing that I kind of learned when I got into the saddle is that you have to flex your knees. So for instance, I'm standing here and I'm balanced pretty well. I'm enjoying myself. But when I go to move around the tree, if I keep my legs stiff, I just kind of swing a little bit out of control. And I've seen some guys that were first-time saddle users who were doing that, and so shouldn't be a surprise that it happened to me as well. But again, if I keep my legs stiff and I just kind of stand up here on my toes and I keep my legs stiff and I start to move, I kind of swing out of control. Again, nothing bad happens. I'm caught, I'm safe. But what I found is if I want to move left and right, I bend the knee in the direction that I want to move. So right now I'm going to move away from the camera. I'm going to just flex this left knee a little bit, bend it in, and now I'm moving nice and slow and controlled around the tree. My left knee might even move all the way into it hits the tree, and that helps me to be controlled as well. But I have to do that. I have to bend my legs so that I have control. If I want to move to the right side, toward the camera. I'm gonna put a good amount of flex and bend in this right knee, and I'm just gonna move slowly around the tree like this. And you can see I'm moving nice and controlled. Now, one thing that I'll also mention is what I've already determined about choosing trees. Now, I'm gonna do another video about shooting out of the saddle. I've got my bow and I'm gonna do some shooting, but that's gonna be another video. But one thing I've noticed is the bigger the tree here, the harder it is to swing all the way around the tree to get different shots. Now, the advantage of having a big tree is if a deer's coming from this direction, which is what I would want in a saddle, right? I'd want to keep the tree between me and the approaching deer for good cover. And then I can move around the tree and keep the tree between me and the deer. So the advantage of a larger tree is that you have more cover and it's easier to hide behind a tree. But the disadvantage is it's going to be a little bit harder to swing that rope and swing your body all the way around the tree. Now, this tree still works for me. It's no problem at all. But this is probably about as big as what I would personally think is ideal. Sure, you could go a little bit bigger. You're just going to lose a little bit of that ability to swing around. Now, you could go to a real small tree and you would be able to swing around and have an unobstructed view in all directions. But you're going to lose a little bit of that cover that is the advantage of having the tree between you and the deer. Another thing that I really like about a saddle is how many different positions that you can get into to get comfortable. So there's obviously this leaning position, which I'll be honest, may not look that comfortable. And I'll be honest, I haven't done a whole sit. I've just been playing around with it here in the woods a little bit, but it's actually quite comfortable. You can also do more of a leaning position where you lean in against the tree. Now, if you're gonna do this position, I would really recommend getting some knee pads because this honestly is gonna hurt your knees after a bit. But the other thing you can do is you can also sit more of a side saddle where you just kind of lean up against the tree like this. Now, for me, I can't see this being the most comfortable. This puts a lot of weight into the saddle and I feel like there's a little bit more pinch and kind of just feel like I'm just bumping up against the tree and a little bit harder to move. So I can't see this being my ideal position, but hey, if you needed a change of scenery for a little bit, this could definitely be a good option. Now, one thing that maybe I should mention here about swiveling all the way around the tree is it's going to be a lot dependent on how you have your bridge and your tether set up, your tether height, and all of that. Now, in this particular case, I've lowered the connection of my bridge on the tether down quite a bit. So I'm leaning a lot more away from the tree. Now, I'll be honest, I don't find this nearly as comfortable. It puts a lot more strain on my knees. I'm more angled out, but it gives me a longer rope and therefore is going to be easier to swing all the way around that tree for the shot. Again, this is going to be a big factor in your range of motion and your shooting options, but it's also limiting me in comfort. So let me pull myself back up here and adjust this bridge back up a little bit. That's much more comfortable right there. Well, guys, there it is, kind of my first experiment into the saddle hunting world here, my first video with a saddle. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I have to say I am pretty impressed. I'm excited about the options of saddle hunting. Now, I'll be honest, like I mentioned, this is my second time in a saddle, but the first time when I got into it, I anticipated liking it, but I wasn't convinced I was gonna love it. But there was a moment when I got everything positioned just right and everything was nice and comfortable and I started to learn how to move around the tree where I kind of had my aha moment and I started to realize why everybody's raving about a saddle. Now, I can't say for sure that I'm gonna be in a saddle next season, but I can say that I'm beginning to see what the rave is all about. And I hope you'll stay tuned because I've got some more videos coming from the Tethrd Phantom. Now, let me also mention one more time, this Phantom belongs to Nate from Average Jack Archery, so if you haven't checked out his channel, go over there and he's going to have a lot of great content from the saddle as well. And until next time, remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.